Welcome back to College Algebra MAT 150. In this section we will be graphing lines using 2 points. So the graph of a line is straight and it always has an associated slope. So with that idea, a line requires 2 points to be accurate. And as it turns out, we may use this associated slope and a 1 point to get a second. So all we need is 1 point and a slope, or just 2 points to be fully accurate. So with the graph of the line, so if we take -1, 2, so we graph this point, -1, +2. So we have this point, and we have a slope. And again, remember that slope is given by rise over run. We can go from this point and we can rise and run to a second point. And to be clear, we also have a negative here, and my advice is usually to associate the negative to the run, so either go up or down. If it's positive, up, negative, down. And then the run is always to the right 2. So you go up or down, whatever this is, and then right 2. And so if we start from this point, so again, you start from the 1 point you have and use the slope to get a second. So we start from this point, go down 3, and right 2, we get a second point. And we could continue doing that. We could go down 3, right 2, but we only need 2 points. Further, we could also do the exact opposite. So if this is down 3 and right 2, we could go up 3 and left 2. So up 3 and left 2 to get a second point, or up 3 and left 2. So I guess from this original point we would go up 3, left 2. But in this sense we have enough, and we just take a straight edge or ruler and do our best to make a straight line. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to make several graphs in this course that are not perfect, but that's good enough. You can put arrows on these graphs to indicate they go on forever. All right, so slope and a point, or 2 points, is what we need. So as it turns out, slope-intercept form, the slope-intercept form of an equation of a line, which is given by y = mx + b, gives us slope, and it gives us a point of the form 0b, where b, b in the y-coordinate of this point is from here. So, and further, notice that, remember, y and f of x are interchangeable when you're dealing with functions. And when we talked about linear functions in the last video, this is what we discussed. All right, so, and remember further that intercepts are points. This b is not a point by itself, but with x, the x-coordinate being 0, it does. So we now have a point, a very nice point in a slope-intercept form, and a slope to get to a second point. That's all we need to make a graph. So let's look at this example here. In this case, we have slope, which is the number in front of the x. So slope is 2. Now again, when we think of slope, we should think of rise over run. Well, here we don't have an over part, but we can manufacture one because anything divided by 1 is itself. So now we have a rise and a run. And further, for x-intercept, or for a y-intercept, excuse me, we have 0 for the opposite variable, and this -1 is part of this. So we have 0, -1 for our y-intercept, which gives us this point. We can then use the slope, up 2, right 1, to get a second point. Do our best to make a straight line. Again, does not have to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. That is pretty reasonable, though. We put arrows to continue going on. That concludes everything for section 1.3, part 2.